Okay, we're gonna start by opening SolidWorks. Okay, now you're gonna open up the part that you want to CNC. So I have a nest already made. It's one part but needs to be cut twice.
You did that? No. I didn't click it.
Okay, so we have our two parts here, and I have my job set up. And I'm just gonna regenerate all of them. And so I'll show you what it's going to look like. To do a stock simulation. And we'll hit play. Okay, so there you go. It's done all the operations. And now I will show you how to set all of these up. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we're going to start by is creating a new job. And the first thing you want to do is select your model. So everything that you want to machine. So this one, and it'll automatically create this highlighted box. That is your default stock. So in this section, instead of relative size box and then no additional stock, we're going to have some additional stock to the sides. And we're going to leave stock top and bottom offset as 0 inches, but stock side offset is going to be 0.26. And I'll add 0.26 inches on all four sides. Okay. Now the next part is we need to define our WCS. So for our application, that is going to be this top corner here. So that is going to be top corner 1. Okay. And make sure the arrows are in the right orientation. So down here you can see Z, X, and Y. If they're not, you can go here, use Z-axis and X-axis, and then define your Z-axis by clicking an edge like this, and your X-axis by clicking an edge like this, and then reverse if necessary. But most of the time it should just be good to use this one here. Okay, and then you get a visual representation of your actual WCS origin and how that's going to be set up on the CNC. Program name, you can just put the part number. So this is 0303, so I will just call it nest because it's multiple parts. Nest dash 0303. Okay. And then so this is the job you're editing. So I'm just going to rename this. Okay. So now that we have our stock set up, we're going to start with the drill points. So these 10 holes, and then this hole here, these 2 bearing holes, and the outer feature will be a 2D contour tool. So we're going to click here, drilling, and then just drill. And sorry, we're actually going to right click and then create from template, and then just select your template. Okay, and this is all set up. So I'm just going to call this 1/4 inch hole. Okay, now we can edit this to select all our holes. Okay, so all of this is already set up and defined already, so you don't need to change any of the settings. Same with this tab, it's already set up to do the proper toolpath. and so is this one. Okay, so the breakthrough, depth, and all is all set up. And you set up your stock correctly, then all these settings here, you won't need to change, they'll already be filled out properly. The only thing you will need to change is in the geometry tab, where you go select same diameter, and then in the selection box, select the face, and then it will auto select the rest of the holes that are the same diameter. Okay, and then just hit check. Now it'll give you this warning because we're using a end mill and instead of a drill, so just hit yes. Okay. Now you can simulate this. This here is your speed. So we can go a bit slower. So you can see how it's doing the chip breaking operation. So it's going down and up rather than just plunging straight down. Play it back a bit slower so you guys can see. Okay, play it from here. Okay. All right, now we're going to do our bearing holes next. So again, same under your job. So in this case, it's tutorial. We're going to go create from template. And I'm going to start off with the multi-pass roughing template. Okay. And I will just call this bearing holes, rough one, perfect. Going to edit it, and we're going to do the same for these bearing holes as we did for these drill points here. So the first tab, you don't need to change anything. This tab, if you set up your stock properly, you won't need to change anything. You can see all the heights here. So the first one is your clearance height. The second one is your retract height. This one here is your stock height and then your stock bottom. And then you can see here, if we zoom in, that it's actually going to drill a little past the stock bottom, just so I make sure you don't leave an onion skin. So that's 0.03 of an inch deeper than the actual thickness of the stock. Now if we go into the passes tab, everything's set up for you. And the linking tab, everything is also set up. So we just need to go into the geometry, and then same thing, select, and select. Now one thing to pay attention is the location of these arrows. If they're on the outside, it'll do an outside cut. If it's on the inside, it'll do an inside cut. So we want these to be on the inside. So just gonna hit reverse, select and reverse. So these two are good. Now this one, this toolpath template has stock to leave turned on, so it'll leave 0.08 of an inch, and then you need to do another toolpath for a finishing pass, and then I'll remove the 0.08 and finish it to the true dimension. So you're gonna hit OK, and you can see it does the nice ramping multi-pass, and it will also go a little bit deeper than the actual stock thickness. So I'm going to regenerate all of these. Okay, simulate. And you can see here what the toolpath is going to look like. So it's just kind of spiraling down. Okay, cool. Now this is not finished to true dimensions, so we're going to import our finishing single pass. And now we're going to edit this, and we're going to select the same holes, this face, on the inside, so we're good. And there you go. Okay. Now we're going to do the same for the outside. So I'm going to create from template, roughing, edit, geometry tab, select. Okay, now I just gotta generate. Okay, so these need to be flipped. There we go. So just silk the edge on this one. Cool. Now it's going to generate our outer contour. And then we'll do the same for our finishing pass. Edit. Same. Like this. Reverse. Those are on the outside. We're good. Okay. Now I'm just going to rename this as and then this one finish. Okay, so now that we have all our cams set up, you can simulate it like this. If you have the option to stock simulation, then you can go ahead and do that, but it doesn't always work properly. I'm gonna lower the speed and you can run it so you can see. So you can see how it does the chip breaking. Speed it up because we don't need to watch all of this. Okay, and now here you'll see that it's ramping down and cutting it all out. Okay, cool. So you can see now it's ended and okay. So now the next step is to export the setup sheet. So on your job, you're gonna right click here and then create setup sheet. Okay, now do it in the folder where your parts manufacturing is. So we have manufacturing. It's a 0300 series part. So in that folder, in the CNC cam folder, and then hit open. And it will open up, generate it flat. So hit the space bar and then view it flat, or you can go here and then just view it flat like this, and then do the same thing, generate setup sheet. We're in the right folder, hit open. Okay. Now you can see here, it will give you the path to the 3D file. So in this case, it was assembly because I did a nest and the file name here, so that you have the full file path. Now this is the size you need for stock, so people in the manufacturing team can find a piece of stock that meets these requirements. So at minimum, this, and this. And then your total finished parts, the dimensions of those. Okay, and then also see it will put your origin drawn in there. Okay. So now you can see all these kind of stats. Number of operations 5, number of tools needed 1, tools T1, that doesn't really matter because we don't have an ATC. Your feed rate, spindle, so this is helpful because we have to set the spindle RPM manually. And then these are just kind of some stats. So cycle time 8 minutes. Now these are all your operations here. And they all use T1 here, which is defined over here. So it's a flat end mill, 1/4 inch, single flute. And then your operations, you can see that's why we named them. So 1/4 inch holes, it's a drilling type. Bearing holes, roughing, and then bearing holes, finish. And then same with the outer contour. So outer contour rough, outer contour finish. And then it just says some cycle times for each of them. Okay, now the last part is to post-process our files. So that basically means just export the G code. You're gonna right click, like post-process all. Now make sure you have the Onefinity post-processor set up. And then your output folder should be the same as your part number for the manufacturing folder. So CNC cam, the A300 CNC cam, open that. Okay. Program name, that's basically the name of the G-code file. And then for the Onefinity, you need to make sure that this setting is changed to yes and not no. All right, and then just hit post. It'll give you the option to save it or rename it. So here I have, it's a nest and the part number, and then how many there are in the nest. So part 0303, there's 2 of them, and it's the first version or revision of the code. So underscore v1, save, yes. And then I'll open it up in your editor. You can use VS Code or the HSM edit, doesn't really matter. And you're good to go.